Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we have been looking into Indian economy as for prelims and mains from the aspects of prelims and mains. So in the previous lecture we did look about the national income accounting, which forms a very important topic for prelims as well as mains. Now in this lecture we'll be looking about the growth and development. So this is again an important topic considering the mains aspect in mains perspective into. So let's get into the lecture. So we'll first learn what is economic growth and what is economic development. See, economic growth refers to the increase in the production of goods, which it's just about increase in the production of good, nothing else. Okay, see, like GDP, GNP, per capita income, these all come under economic growth. It focuses on expansion of countries' production or production capacity and the overall size of the economy. Overall size of economy. See, like increased capital accumulation, technological advancements, growth in labor force, efficient resource allocation, these all factors drive growth. Let's think of an example or analogy for an example. Think of it like a company's revenue increasing day by day, wherein the company is getting bigger and bigger, through which it is producing more and more and generating more money. So this is the economic growth. Wherein economic development is a broader concept. It's a broader concept wherein that encompasses sustained improvement in overall well-being and quality. See, it includes not only economic growth but also social, institutional, and environmental changes. See, Human Development Index (HDI), different literacy rates, poverty reduction, income distribution, that is wealth distribution. These all act as economic development. See, it focuses on improvements in living standards, human capital, infrastructure, and society, like investing in education, healthcare, poverty alleviation programs, sustainable environmental practices. These all contribute towards the are factors towards driving the development. Let's say economic development of, let's take an example again. Economic development is like the company not only increasing revenue but also looking after welfare of employees, investing in R&D, research and development for better products, adopting sustainable practices, and ensuring fair wages. See, growth refers only to the production, but economic development refers to the entire aspect, social aspects, environmental aspects, and institutional aspect, all brought together brings in economic development. So hope you guys understood what is environmental growth and economic development. Now let's look into indicators of economic development. Gender inequality index. See, it is The laws in human development due to the inequality between men and women in three critical dimensions. So gender inequality index brings in this, that is reproductive health. Three dimensions are reproductive health, empowerment, and labor market. So they are main aspects or main dimensions of this gender inequality index. See, it is developed by UNDP, that is United Nations Development Program, and released. So India has ranked at the position of 108 out of 193 countries according to Human Development Report 2023-2024. The trend has increased. Actually, India has quite improved from 122nd in 2021 to 108 in 2023-24, which shows a significant improvement in the gender inequality index and has developed. So next one is multi-dimensional poverty index. It identifies multiple deprivations at the individual level, often aggregated at the household, in terms of health, education, standard of living, etc. So again, here three components are brought into aspect. Health is taken into one third. Education is considered as education is considered one third, and one more thing which is considered is standard of living. These are all considered as dimensions or requirements to calculate the multidimensional poverty index. So in these three dimensions there are different subcategories as well, which goes in detail, so we'll be not looking much into it. So we'll just know about what are the basic dimensions as well. So it provides a more nuanced understanding of poverty, revealing who is poor and how they are poor. See, this is very much important for designing crucial targeted poverty reduction strategies. See, 2024 multidimensional report was released in October 2024, and around 234 million people are still living in multi-dimensional poverty, and it shows that still there are a lot of people or huge number of people which can be considered in reducing, which are needed to be reduced in the future as well. Next one is Global Hunger Index. It is developed by World Bank, Concern Worldwide, and Wealth Hunger Life. So this is from Ireland and this is from Germany. So it's developed by, and it measures the tool comprehensively measuring and tracking hunger at global, regional and national levels. It is based on 4 components, which are undernourishment, child wasting, child stunting, and child mortality. See, India has ranked around 125 out of 127 countries in the 2024 report, showing a serious level of hunger among the people. See, it has slightly improved, but still the serious category remains. And these things must be improved for proper economic development. So, moving on to the factors determining economic growth in India. So, this is the different factors determining the economic growth in India. First one is human resources. India possesses a vast and relatively young population, creating a large potential labor force. Like India is currently under the phase of demographic dividend. So what is demographic dividend in the sense? People in the working age, that is 15 to 64 years, are higher. So India's population is estimated at 1.428 billion, making it highest or first most populous country within, it just has come through an estimation, and the labor force is around 610 million in 2025, approximately 610 million in 2025. So ensuring that this demographic dividend translate into growth requires effective skill development and job creation. Otherwise, this demographic dividend might become demographic disaster. Next one is capital formation and investment. Investment in physical capital, factories, machinery, infrastructure, human capital, education, health, these are all crucial for expanding the productive capacity, like setting up new manufacturing plants, upgrading technology in existing industries. These are all very much important for economic growth in India. Next one is technological advancement. Adoption of new technologies, digital transformations, fostering an innovation ecosystem are key drivers of the productivity and new economic opportunities. So in this concept, we can bring in UPI, Digital India as few examples with respect to technological advancements. See, the economy of digital economy has contributed to around 11.74% of the GDP in 2022-23. It shows how the economy is rapidly improving, growing, and also supporting the growth of the economy. Industrial and services sector. A shift from agrarian economy towards robust manufacturing and a dominant services sector is characteristics in economic growth. Like growth in automotives, electronics, pharmaceuticals, information technology, these all are very much important. So India, as we all know, it is an agricultural, it's a service economic sector, but still industrial growth and service sector both contribute towards growth, economic growth. Next one is government policies and reforms. Stable and growth oriented policies include macroeconomic management, fiscal prudence, and ease of doing business reforms. They are very, very crucial. Here, India jumped from 142nd place in 2014 to 63rd place in 2019 in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index. It shows a rapid transformation from 140 in the span of 5 years. This shows how India considers, how the government considers businesses for economic growth. Moving on to the factors determining the economic development. In the previous slide, we look about economic growth. In this slide, we will be looking about factors determining the economic development. Human capital development. Investing in health and education of the population leads to more productive workforce and improved quality of life, like health insurance scheme, health insurance, universal education programs. These all bring into human capital development because it develops the human for the society, for himself, for herself, and helps him to improve his or her own life. Next one is poverty reduction. Ensuring that economic growth translates into reduced poverty or more equitable distribution of benefits across all segments of society. See, poverty reduction is done by direct benefit transfer, housing for all. These programs are very much into it. A good example we can say is Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. So it provides free ration to over 800 million people, significantly impacting the food security. So this shows how India is trying to be socially inclusive and also help in poverty reduction. Infrastructure development. Robust infrastructure facilitates economic activity and directly improves the standard of living, like construction of national highways, expansion of metro, increased access to electricity. These all a few examples. Jal Jeevan Mission. Jal Jeevan Mission is a good scheme which was brought to implement the infrastructure development in increasing the water tap connections. Next one is environmental sustainability. A shift from agrarian economy towards robust manufacturing dominant services sector is characteristics of economic growth. Here, this point is wrong. So, we will take into integrating environmental protection and sustainable practices into development strategies to bring in long-term well-being, like renewable energies, bringing in new projects of renewable energy, water conservation projects. They all are few examples which can be brought into it. Like India has set a target of achieving net zero emissions by 2070. This is something a very important target to reduce the pollution or increase the environmental sustainability. Next one is good governance and institutional quality. Transparent, accountable, efficient governance along with strong institution builds trust, facilitates economic activity and ensures the equitable distribution of resources. See here, reforms in tax administration, ease of doing business here again, and efforts to reduce corruption. These all will play into action. See, according to the Corruption Perception Index, India is ranked out 96 out of 180 countries in 2024. This index is released by Transparency International, and this shows that India is still, it's better, but still there is a long way to go to remove the corruption completely. Now let us look into some challenges to sustainable and equitable growth, starting from the economic challenges. Economic growth has not been uniformly distributed, leading to a significant gap between rich and poor. The benefits of globalizations and reforms have been disproportionately favored only certain sections of society. See, India has grown to be a house for many billionaires, but a large segment of population still struggles with the low incomes and lack of basic services. World Inequality Report of 2022 suggests that around 10%, that is top 10% of the population corners a staggering 57% of the national income. That's very high. Similarly, the wealth, the top 1% controls over 40% of the national wealth in India, and an average Indian survives on less than 5,600 per month if the elite wealth is excluded. It shows high inequality. Next one is informal economy and unemployment. A vast majority of the India's workforce operates in the informal sector, characterized by low wages, lack of job security, and absence of social protections such as pensions and healthcare. Migrant workers, daily wage laborers, small street vendors, significant portion of agriculture laborers all fall into the formal sector. See, around 90% of India's workforce is informal, according to the International Labour Organization (ILO's) data. Next one is inflation and price volatility. While necessary for economic stability, persistent inflation, particularly in the food prices, disproportionately affects the low income households, eroding their purchasing power and exacerbating poverty. Like fluctuation in vegetable or fuel prices can severely impact the household budgets. Food inflation here actually remains a concern for Indian people because it often contributes significantly to overall the CPI, Consumer Producer Index inflation. Next one is fiscal constraints and funding gaps for sustainable development goals. Achieving the sustainable development goals requires the financial investment. In India, despite its economic growth, it faces challenges in mobilizing sufficient domestic resources, efficient allocation towards SDG targets, like inadequate budget allocation and for social sectors like health and education in some states, or inefficient utilization of funds. These all cause fiscal constraints and funding gaps for SDGs. Reports estimate that around 4 trillion dollars are needed annually to achieve SDGs for developing countries, and India's current spending is very insufficient to bridge this financing gap. Next one is regional disparities. Significant economic and developmental goal gaps persist between different states and regions within India. Some states are far more developed with better infrastructure and social indicators, while others lack significantly. See, gross state domestic product of Maharashtra is very higher compared to Bihar's. So this shows how one state is very high, one state is rich and one state is poor. So this is the regional disparity. This uneven development can lead to migration, social tension, and also hinder the overall national progress. Now moving on to the social challenges. Persistent poverty and malnutrition. Despite significant progress in poverty reduction, a substantial number of people still living in multidimensional poverty, lacking access to services and adequate nutrition. The high rates of stunting and wasting among children indicating chronic and acute malnutrition. This shows how that economy is still in aspect. Next one is gender inequality. Deep-rooted norms, social norms, and systemic barriers continue to limit women's participation in education, workforce, and political life, affecting their health, empowerment, and economic independence. See, you women in India earn only 18% of what men do, making only a significant portion of the labor force. See, this report was brought by World Inequality Report in 2022. Next one is quality of education and healthcare. While access to education and healthcare are improved, the quality of services in public systems and rural areas still remain a significant concern. Like high student teacher ratios, inadequate infrastructure in schools, shortage of medical professionals in rural areas, reliance on expensive private healthcare. These all tandem or affect the quality of education and healthcare. Like government estimates that around 63 million people are pushed into poverty due to cost of the healthcare. This is a staggering high number which must be taken care of properly. Next one is caste and social discrimination. Historical social hierarchies and discrimination based on caste and religion still continue to affect the access to opportunities, resources, and social mobility for marginalized community. Like discrimination in employment, access to land, education, social services for certain vulnerable groups brings in perpetuates cycles of poverty and inequality together. Next one is we look into some environmental challenges. Climate change and vulnerability. Climate change vulnerability and its impact. So India is a highly vulnerable country with impacts of extreme weather events like heat waves, droughts, floods, sea level rise, and changes in the agricultural productivity. So this directly impacts livelihoods of many people. Actually, an example you can say is in March 2022, the heat wave which rised from 5 degree to 8 degrees Celsius, hotter than the average, impact high agriculture and public health. Like the heat waves alone cost in India, heat waves alone cost India 8% of GDP in 2022. This is huge amount which is lost because of climate change. The RBI highlights that up to 4.5% of India's GDP could be at stake by 2030 due to the lost labor hours caused by climate change issues. Next one is air and water pollution. Rapid industrialization, urbanization, vehicle emissions, which lead to air pollution in many India's cities, impacts public health and productivity. Like Delhi frequently records some of the worst air quality levels globally. The Ganges River, despite its cultural significance, is one of the most polluted rivers in the world. 63 cities out of 100 cities, 63 most polluted cities in world out of 100 is in India. This shows how unhealthy levels of air pollution is in India. Next one is resource depletion and degradation. Over exploitation of natural resources, be it forest, minerals, or land degradation, desertification, always threaten the long-term sustainability and agricultural productivity. Like 30% of the country here sees impacts of soil erosion, which leads to around 21 tons of soil per hectare. This is huge. A lot of grains can be produced with this soil. Next one is waste management. Rapid urbanization and population growth have led to an enormous increase in waste generation with adequate infrastructure practices for collection, treatment, and disposal. See, India generates around 62 million tons. 62 million tons, and only 69% are collected and only 19% are treated. This is not a good looking number because not first all the trash is not collected properly and not all the trash which is collected is even treated. So that's bad. See, India produces around 25,000 tons of plastic daily. Daily according to the CPCB data. We did look about environmental challenges, social challenges, and economic challenges. Now let's look into the governance and institutional challenges. Implementation gaps. Well-intentioned policies often face challenges in effective implementation at grassroots level due to bureaucratic hurdles, lack of coordination between government departments, and the capacity gaps at state and district level. To make it in simple terms, see, budget is allocated for some schemes. Budget is allocated for certain goals, SDG goals, example. But not budget is allocated, but they are not improved or implied properly, which shows that it is lacking in implementation, and that's how the problem governance issue occurs. Next one is data limitation and monitoring. Inconsistent or inadequate data collection of and lack of robust monitoring evaluation frameworks has hindered the accurate assessment of products, leading to delayed identification of gaps and misallocation of resources. Like funds allocated for public welfare schemes are not reached the intended beneficiaries fully. See, this is an example we can take into consideration. Next one is corruption and lack of transparency. Corruption can divert resources meant for development, reduce efficiency, and undermine the public trust, hindering equitable outcomes. See, when corruption and transparency is not there, a fund can be used for whatever it might want to be. So this is something which must be taken care of. These are few challenges which we looked at. Now let's look into type of economy. Like you might ask me, we already saw types of economy with respect to working condition, with respect to going be it open economy, type of economy, working condition, different sectors. No, this is different types of economy which can be brought only in growth and development chapter because of its relevance. Then we'll know what it is. The first one is care economy. This sector encompasses all paid and unpaid labor, including child healthcare, education, and domestic work. See, it is very, very fundamental for societal well-being, but often undervalued in traditional economic measurements. See, examples we can case unpaid care. In the concept of unpaid care, we can bring in parents raising children, individuals caring for elderly relatives or sick family members, volunteering community groups. For paid, we can take into nurses, teachers, doctors, child care workers, therapists. They all come into care economy. Next one is monetized economy. This is the most prevalent economic system where goods and services are primarily exchanged for money, like retail purchases, services, investments, wages. They all come into monetized economy. See, it is very, very challenging to provide a single statistic for the entire monetized economy, but it is huge. Next one is circular economy, a systemic approach that aims to keep resources in use for as long as possible to extract the maximum value for them whilst in use, and then recover and regenerate the products and the materials at the end of each service life. Recycling programs, repair cafes, upcycling, reusable packaging. So these are all few examples brought into the circular economy. See, our global economy uses about 1.6 Earth's worth of resources in 1 year. This is very high, because of which that is we are consuming 60% more than what is needed to survive 1 year. So when circular economy comes into place, this can be reduced. Next one is gig economy. A labor market which is characterized by the prevalence of short-term contracts or freelance work as opposed to the permanent jobs. Like Uber, Zomato, Amazon. So they are all gig economy workers. See, these workers are typically paid for individual tasks. So that's why our gigs we can call it. That's why it's called gig economy. So according to NITI Aayog report, NITI Aayog report, India has approximately 7.7 million gig workers in 2020-21 and expected to reach 23.5 million by 2029-30. This shows how high, how valuable this gig economy is, how it contributes towards the society. So hope you guys understood the different types of economy. Now let's look into one PYQ which was asked in 2025. Consider the following statements. Circular economy reduces the emissions of greenhouse gases. Circular economy reduces the use of raw materials as inputs. Circular economy reduces wastage in the production process. So which one of the following is correct in respect to the above statements? Both statement 2 and 3 are correct and both of them explain statement 1. Both statement 2 and 3 are correct, but only one of the statement explains statement 1. Only one of the statements 2 and 3 is correct and that explains statement 1. Neither statement 2 nor statement 3 is correct. So these are the options. So let's consider the statements given. See, we did read about the circular economy some time back, which speaks about recycling things. So by keeping or reusing resources for longer period, it reduces the wastage. Reduce wastage and minimize the extraction and process of new materials. So it eventually reduces the emissions of lower gas. Okay. Circular economy reduces the use of raw material as input because usage is very, very high. It's repeatedly used, so because of this, raw material inputs is very much less. It reduces the wastage in the production process because here again products are reused again. So from the statements we can use that. See, wastage, reduce use of raw materials. See, when the wastage is reduced and there is no need for decomposing and stuff like that, and the use of raw materials is reduced for producing new products, eventually it reduces the emission of greenhouse gases. So option A is correct. Both statement 2 and 3 are correct and both of them explain statement 1. So this is the correct answer. So hope you guys understood the PYQ. So with this we are coming to the end of the lecture. Guys, do like, share and support and subscribe the channel and the video. Do comment your doubts if you have any. And the notes for the unit will be shared in the Telegram channel. So keep supporting guys. We'll continue with the next lecture soon. Thank you.